Okay, hey everyone, welcome to the Field Between, generously endowed by the Al Walid bin Talal Foundation. My name is Ahmed.
Not true. Wait, I'm Yasmin, but I think we gotta go on record saying that's not true. No one sue us, please.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe one day. If you're interested, email us at fieldbetweenpod@gmail.com.
Do we have an email?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I haven't checked it in a year. Maybe I'll do that while you talk.
No, we'll do that after.
Okay, what's up?
Not much. It's been a while. Sorry.
We missed 2 weeks.
That's not good. We can't.
But we're going to do a super long episode to make up for it.
We're going to see how it goes. The
Enormous
quality is the important thing.
Episode planned. The quality does not matter.
What have we been up to? We went to Boston. We stopped in New York on our way there, on our way back. Mm-hmm. Saw my parents on the way there and one of my sisters. One of my sisters is abroad. And then we got to hang with your sister.
One of your sisters is abroad?
Uh-huh.
That's not nice.
She's abroad.
Don't say that about your sister.
Well, it's not bad to be abroad.
Oh my
God. But she is,
this is some sexist.
Not in the country.
We watched one episode of Mad Men and suddenly you're just
I forgot we were watching that. We got to get back to that.
Like a guy.
We just started it.
With a job.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we went to Boston, hung with our really, really cute niece and nephew. That was super fun. They're adorable. Yeah, it was a good trip. A lot of driving, but a good trip.
Yeah.
Some would say too much driving for a short trip, but still a good time.
Who said that?
I would say that.
Oh, it was only bad because we just got stuck in traffic every single time.
But literally, that happened. This is the thing. Boston to New York seems close, but it's actually not. It's always at least 5 hours. It's never shorter.
Is it?
Yeah. And then at its worst, it's like 6.5, which sucks.
Interesting.
But anyway, we ate a lot of good pastries. That was nice.
Many croissants.
Yeah. I realized I think my true love is the cardamom bun. That's like my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also really like savory pastries too, with like cheese. But I don't love Danishes.
You're unique that way.
I like a croissant, with cheese, or like I don't know, like an Eastern
fromage,
or like an Eastern European like feta situation, or spetacopita. I can't say it, but I like that.
Yeah.
Spetacopita.
I don't know.
That Greek thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm just thinking about food. We also had really good mochi in Boston. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we're back. You've been having some really great events. You had one on Friday.
Yes.
That had a friend of ours here who does a lot of really great organizing, started a organization for trans healthcare. Mm-hmm. And so there was a fundraiser. I wasn't here, but heard that it went well. Was proud of y'all.
Yeah, I've gotten good at getting people to give money.
That's great, because that's honestly hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just make eye contact with them until they open up their wallets.
Actually, I've done some good fundraising too, but I feel like I do more small scale. Like I'll
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, worked out.
It was good.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, there's a lot of news. I'm sure we'll get to a lot of the current event stuff that's been happening, because we've missed 2 weeks, but it feels like 6 months of news has happened in that time.
Yeah. I was just thinking personal news
Any other personal updates?
Not really.
I started a new medicine.
Yep. And you've been trying to figure out how it's affecting your sleep.
Yeah, I've just been wide awake at 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
You're mostly falling back asleep now, though, right? It was pretty bad the first couple nights.
Yeah.
Do you still wake up?
I wake up, but I don't. The first couple days, I would wake up and I would just be wide awake, unable to get back to sleep. And now I feel like if I give it some time,
if you focus,
I can maybe roll back over and get to bed.
When I wake up just naturally, I have to really will myself not to look at my phone and to focus on falling back asleep, and then I usually can. But
that's the danger. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been reading Moby Dick. It's really enjoyable. I'm surprised.
It's really random and cute how into it you are.
Yeah, it's really good. It's maybe we'll do an episode on it one day.
We should. Yeah, you should.
Because it kind of is like a Lovecraftian horror. I mean, he wrote obviously before Lovecraft was alive, but it's kind of a cosmic horror the way it's set up. And it's very lyrically written, and there's one chapter in particular that I finished a while ago. If anyone's read it, the Father Maple speech or the sermon is really, really just fun to read. So it's great.
That's very cute. Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know why. I just you don't read that much fiction.
I don't really read fiction.
So it's really cute that you're so into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read a lot of classics, I feel like. I feel like it's good to read stuff like that just so you get more references, and I don't know. It's helpful.
Now I understand what bosom friends are.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a saying. I didn't know it came from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I assume was it the idea that you were nursed at the bosom together?
No,
or that you're so close that your bosoms are touching.
Yeah, I think that's more. I think they just sleep together. It's like these two men who are just sleeping in the same bed, and they become
gay?
very close. It's unclear.
Interesting.
I don't think so.
Just like homoerotic, but not
they're very fond
gay.
of each other. It's not really erotic. Yeah, it's not
just homoromantic.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
I finished a book called The Situationists that you recommended to me, actually, or you recommended that I look into the movement.
Yes.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't have a ton to say about it. I'm trying to think more about space and place for my work, so it was kind of helpful for that.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
What did you learn?
They were interested in thinking about how you relate to the city psychologically, like how it makes you feel.
Psychogeography.
Right.
Yes.
And then they had this practice called drifting, where they would intentionally kind of just move throughout the city and sort of see.
Did they call it drifting in the book? Because they used the French term, or it was like dérivé or something like that, right?
Yeah. But as they kind of moved throughout the city, they would just kind of see how different things made them feel psychologically, and the sort of experiences that they would have.
Yeah.
I think, there were some things I liked about it, like thinking about how space and organization of space fosters life, obviously, and sort of the city as a breathing community, and the importance of not overly planning and allowing for spontaneous experience. I think it also helped me just think about that period in time, because this movement was popular in the 50s and 60s, and cities were really changing as cars were becoming rapidly more accessible, and the cities were being built to accommodate cars, and that kind of destroyed a lot of more chance encounters and ways that people kind of interacted.
Yeah.
So my work takes place from 1920, 1950, so a little bit before that, but still kind of helpful on the 50s end. I think the one thing that was kind of a little frustrating about the movement was just kind of the self-importance of it, and how they were pretending that what they were doing was kind of in some way scientific when it clearly wasn't. But to be fair, that's also a marker of the times to
not only scientific, but they really took the practice of, they're not anyone can just do this.
Right. But literally they were just
almost be led. And then they also, it's scientific observation mixed with this moral superiority of, we're doing almost a spiritual practice.
It's literally just vibing and walking around the city, and they were literally just all rich. That's how they were able to do that for months at a time. Yeah. They specifically talk about because they were in Paris, the one Arab member of the group who was more middle class, who was trying to figure out how to drift for months at a time. And, I mean, the maps that they made are really cool and very beautiful, but they're more art. They're not scientific in any way. They're not correlated to any data.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess they kind of also, again, as a pushback against life becoming increasingly more kind of quantified. In that way, it's sort of beautiful. The maps are not meant to be, data driven, but that was a little bit of an annoying strain where they were just we're trying to get to the bottom of what this is. And then it was kind of oh, it's just walking. Anyone can just walk and be really viscerally present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they also encourage people to do it in groups.
They did.
So I think there's something to be said for that. I wrote an essay on it. I don't really remember it.
Really?
For my Substack.
You didn't tell me that.
Yes, I mean, it's in my Substack.
About drifting?
About the Situationists. I mean, it references them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't remember that.
I know.
No, I've read all of your Substack. I love it, but I don't remember that reference. I guess because I didn't know the group at the time. Yeah, some things that also were kind of class-based that were kind of frustrating, in addition to the we are authentically experiencing stuff, is they were against convenience. They felt that things like modern life was becoming too convenient.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but like people need grocery stores within walking distance of them. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. They're like,
is that the convenience they meant? No.
They meant any kind of like strategic planning. They were frustrated by. Yeah, they wanted things to be kind of chaotic, and it just seems like a little bit of a privileged response to modernization.
I see.
Yeah, I think the main thing that was funny is that they thought they were like coming up with a scientific method, and they never really quite nailed it. But yeah, still a lot to be said about the kind of
critical engagement with the built environment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also, I guess the kind of beauty of like a city being alive and like that it should feel alive and not just kind of like you're in Disneyland, you know. I think there's something to that too. And you can have, I think, the situations would not agree with this, but I think you can have efficient planning and try and kind of create some sense of
I think Jane Jacobs writes very well on that. I mean, she writes about the old New York and Boston blocks because I mean everything's a grid, and when you have things laid out in a grid and it's short blocks, but you can plan that. Obviously you can have the foundation building blocks of a city, but then what happens in those blocks, there's a lot of room for improvisation, and a lot of the zoning stuff that we have now gets it kind of wrong because we have all these just very, business districts and then residential neighborhoods, and we don't really have like a mingling of things. Whereas she just kind of describes like what the choreography of a city used to kind of offer people.
Yeah, and the author of this book, which I forget his name because the book is not written by the situations, it's about them, was kind of saying like, yeah, Jane Jacobs was the real deal. And like, yeah, I mean, which makes sense for anyone who does actual,
I'll have to check that out.
I actually haven't read any Jane Jacobs. I would love to.
You should start with Death and Life of Great American Cities.
Yeah, it's maybe good. I will at some point. I feel like that's also kind of related. I'm in a space where everything feels like it could be related to work, which is also nice but kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we get into our topics?
Yeah. Should we start with Superman or start with some harder hitting stuff?
We just saw Superman. Let's do our Superman review. Actually, should we do that up top?
I'm done either way.
Let's leave the Superman review for later.
Okay. And on a high note.
Actually, no, let's do it now. Let's do it now. Let's just go ahead and get it over with. Okay, we just saw Superman.
We're not getting it over with. It's nice.
We just saw, okay, you like it. It's nice. What do you think?
I thought it was fun. I'm not a huge, I actually don't think I'd ever seen a superhero movie before you.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm not familiar.
That can't be true.
I think I saw Wonder Woman, which is an embarrassing one to have seen.
You didn't see a Batman?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. And my first Spider-Man.
None of the guys you dated made you watch the Christopher Nolan Batmans?
No. No, you broke through.
That's crazy.
I've never seen a Batman movie. You and I saw a Spider-Man movie. And we saw the multiverse, which kind of felt like cheating. I was like, I guess it's effective because now I feel like I've seen multiple Spider-Man movies.
Spidersmen.
Yeah.
We talked about this. It's like attorneys general.
Right.
Spidersmen.
As like a weird plural.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Have I seen anything else? What other superheroes are there?
Aladdin.
That's not a superhero.
He is to some.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I don't have a lot of experience, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was really entertaining.
Okay. Yeah.
It was not like, it's not like a movie I had to rewatch or anything, but I was entertained.
So I grew up, I am more kind of steeped in kind of the DC comic universe than you are, because I grew up watching the Justice League animated, the Batman animated series. I was a big fan of The Flash. So I watched a bunch of the Batman animated series too, like Batman Beyond and all that. And I've watched the shows. So I watched Smallville when that was on WB. That was like the original Superman series that ran for a while. It was really good. So yeah, I'm definitely more of a, I know more about the
Got
comic.
the references, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm more, I guess, into that popular culture stuff. That aside, I mean, I would have gone to see it for that reason, but people, have been talking about, it's like, oh, it's such a pro-Palestine movie, and like I'm always like really skeptical when I see that stuff because I'm like, this is just cynical marketing, or people are reading into it. Like, you know how people read like the entire 2016 election into Harry Potter movies and all that stuff, even though the movies predate the election. But
and same with this. Like, this definitely was obviously manufactured before.
So I wasn't like, oh my god, I was just like, why are people saying this? Is kind of why we went to go see it also in theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, similar to I guess getting right into it, similar to the Dune 2 movie, which came out, if I'm not mistaken, in November of 2023, so a month after October 7th. Obviously, rationally, you know that the movie was written, produced, in post-production before October 7th. I think colonization and occupation just looks the same.
Yeah,
in every
totally.
movie. Like, it just, there's a reason why people are reading it into it. It's because all that has a pattern to it.
And it's because some of these themes are just very like persistent throughout, especially more modern contemporary history, right? Like any post 1500 history is going to include themes of colonization. And so whatever is currently happening, you can read into it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I will say with Dune 2, it was kind of like a little bit hard to watch at times just because there was specific, and again, this is just purely coincidental, but when you're in the theater and you're watching it, obviously you're seeing it through a certain lens. It's just, there are moments where you're like, I'm like, it's almost too real, because there were specific, the Harkonnens or whatever were just like, we're going to cut off their water.
Yeah.
We are going to siege them. We're going to push them from the north to the south, which at the time, like, it was like, those specific things were things that were happening in that had just very direct parallels. I guess on a more meta level, I think what also makes me uncomfortable is that, I don't know how to say this, but that people are reading stuff into a movie like that. I'm like,
I don't think it really matters either way.
I guess it probably doesn't matter.
I don't think it like hurts anything. I mean, I feel like anyone who like sees that and is pro-Palestine, I mean, it's not going to like change. I mean, I guess, are you saying it kind of like diminishes the real suffering of Palestinians? Is that the worry, or?
Yeah, it's almost like it's too much. It's almost maybe the same feeling that I get when we like, the way that we consume a lot of this stuff obviously is through social media, where you're scrolling on reels, and then your reels are just like a mix of someone doing a stupid dance, and then you're seeing someone who is starving to death, and you're just like, you're getting entertainment at the same time that you're getting things that should be making the world stop. And it just feels very corrupting, and it also feels like no one can think properly in this moment, because how can you when we're just like mixing entertainment and genocide?
I feel like that I find actually more worrisome, that kind of like constant consumption of absolute horror, and then of like really mostly like commodities and sort of just capitalist excess.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is like entertainment the whole time, and you know that they're not real people suffering.
Yeah.
I will say, actually, I definitely like, in spite of like obviously knowing this is not in any way related in a substantial way to Palestine, I did feel like a little more moved than I would have during some scenes, just because I think like I feel like a little tender, like
I don't know if you picked up on this, but I got the sense that other people in the theater also were making connections. Like, did you hear people?
I didn't. That's interesting. It's mostly white theater.
Yeah. So there was I don't remember exactly. There were a couple points in the movie theater, or when the movie was playing, that I think one was when Superman was talking about, he was just like yelling about like, how could we trust this country, or Baravia or whichever, which is supposed to be, which people are reading to be the Israel analog or whatever in the movie. and whose leader kind of, I am going to say it, kind of has some similarities to Netanyahu. Like, he kind of has a similar voice.
I thought he read as more of like a Russian caricature to me. Like,
it's
kind
all
of like
just
Eastern
like an
European.
amalgamation.
Yeah.
I mean, like the people who he was doing a war on were like a mix of.
They were very racialized as Muslim. I mean, they were
definitely racialized as Muslim.
Some of them were wearing hijab, which is interesting.
Yeah, they were racialized as Muslim, but it was like a mix of like Indian, Pakistani,
Arab, Latino,
Afghan.
maybe. Yeah.
Like, it was
they were like generically brown. Yeah.
But even among the brown, it was just like different kinds of brown. Like, some of them were wearing kind of like Afghan looking, like Pashto looking outfits and stuff like that. And then others were wearing more Arab. It's like definitely a weird mix.
But you were going to say you felt that the audience was kind of reacting a bit.
You hear people kind of wincing. They're like, oof. Or like, some people, I guess, like chuckling at like, oh, yeah, you could kind of tell this is the connection that they're making. Or I watched a few people turn to the person that they were with and just like whisper something.
That's kind of hopeful, honestly. That's interesting. I thought it was interesting that the country that was being occupied and siege was so obviously coded as Muslim. But I guess it kind of makes sense in that like we all grew up with images of like the Iraq War and then like the Afghanistan War, and so like there is something a little bit subversive, I guess. I mean, as subversive as like a major film can be, which is not very. Like, the US was kind of the bad guys. Like, I think we are in a moment where it's like, oh, like we are the empire. Whereas like when we grew up and people watched Star Wars and stuff, it was like the empire and the good guys, and people didn't think about, I mean, people meaning like white Americans often didn't think about like the US as the evil empire.
I don't think this differs in that. I think that's been a long held trope. It's like, it's not so much, it's not so much that, it's that people have always been like, America is good, but the deep state is bad.
But this was kind of like just America is bad. And it was almost like if the UN was like worked, like if the UN was like.
Actually, this one wasn't really even America.
Troop of like, you know, superheroes that actually enforce international law.
This one was more about private capitalists being bad. And
but it looked like they were in bed with the government. Like the government. And it also showed like the kind of like whatever analog for the US and Israel were like the same essentially. Like they were.
Some of the other Marvel movies, or not, this is DC, but some of the Marvel movies, I remember one a while ago, one of the main things was that the group of superheroes, the government or like the world governments with the leadership of the US government were trying to disband them because they are like, that you're too powerful and we need to control you or whatever. And so the US government was a bad guy.
Interesting.
But the kind of whatever politics there were, or whatever the politics that you read into it, were kind of almost like libertarian-ish.
Interesting.
Because it's very, I mean, a lot of these are. It's like the people who are the most virtuous and who have the most capacity to act and like do things for themselves should.
Yeah,
right?
and like institutions won't save us.
Yeah, that's what a good society is. It's one where people act as freely as possible without being encumbered by any governing body.
This movie did show journalists in a kind of positive light. Like it showed both the kind of like negative effects of social media and reporting, but also like the importance of like reporting and protecting reporters. I'm like definitely like reading into it, but and I just want to circle back. I do think there is something about, again, like the population being sieged, being Muslim, that does feel kind of like recent history contextual. Like, again, like, yes, they're clearly not like a specific people, but I do think that like speaks to like very much like US war engagement and intervention in the last 2 decades. Like they could have been, you know, if this was like made in like the 70s, like maybe they would have been generically Eastern Asian, like, you know what I mean? Or like Vietnamese, whatever.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. It feels like I've seen that in a lot of other movies, though.
But are you saying I was weirded out that like some of them, I wasn't weirded out, but like they definitely seem Muslim, which is strange.
I guess. I mean, that's what people say about Dune.
But I mean, that guy was, as we talked about on the podcast, I mean, he was inspired by like Islamic references.
And indigenous culture.
And then also like, Native American indigenous cultures. Yeah. I had one more thought. What was it? Oh, another thought I had is that I feel like with all the natural disasters we've been seeing, like everywhere, like I don't know if you saw, there's been a lot of really bad flooding in the Punjab and Pakistan, and here in the U.S. obviously, in North Carolina recently, and in Texas, and in Texas. I feel like I don't know. I was just thinking about when I saw kind of like apocalyptic movies when I was a kid. I don't think it felt as viscerally real as it does now. I just feel like we see a lot, or like I at least feel like I see a lot more footage of natural disasters with like a higher frequency. I mean, I'm also an adult, but I feel like more moved, or not even like, not intellectually moved, but like I feel like my heart rate go up a little bit more when I watch people like fleeing, like waters rising and shit like that. Cause I think I just imagine more and more that like inevitably that will happen to us, It doesn't feel like abstract.
Well, I guess that's what I'm kind of saying is that you're seeing these things that it's almost like too much of a mix of reality and parallel. It's like it used to be that if you saw a city getting destroyed in a movie like that, or people being oppressed like that, it was a reference to history and not something that you're seeing every day as a real thing. And it makes it so, I don't know, I don't know, it's hard to watch as entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I still managed to get through it, but yeah, I agree. It definitely feels like less abstract. And I think the climate change thing particularly, because like, right, like I mean, the subway in New York just flooded a few weeks ago. Like there's just more imagery. I've always felt that way about New York specifically, just because it is so iconic and in terms of the imagery and the skyline and everything, and because it's destroyed for that reason in every movie because people recognize it. It's always weird in real life when things happen there to me because it feels strange. It feels like a movie even when it's happening in real life.
Right.
And even if you like, I'm from there and I still find it like a movie.
That's why I think I guess my point is that our ability to process the real events because of this, like mingling, is somewhat blunted. I'm not saying this for you, but I just feel maybe generally like I do worry that our ability to really process and understand the gravity of the real situations is somewhat stymied because we just see this stuff as entertainment also. Like it's just so mixed.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that I don't quite get it. You're saying that because this movie is hindering our ability to process
not
real
this movie
horror.
in particular, but just the mingling and
I think it's the mingling more.
The
this movie
similarities
is meant to be
between
entertainment. Like I think what's horrific is like the phone scrolling like that. Like we see like especially right now all these really graphic images and stories and yeah. I mean, I think that is almost a form of like entertainment is really perverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Superman.
Yeah, that's all I had to say about that.
So I've got some items here. I think we probably have one that's the same.
Ooh.
I've
also got some items.
I want to start by talking about Columbia
University.
Yeah, do you have anything on that?
Don't.
Okay, so they just settled with Trump. They're paying the Department of Justice $200 million. I don't really know exactly what the settlement includes, but I do know that it means that they will recover some of the funding. It frees up some scientific grants, etc. They're going to enact some things that they promised to already do related to combating anti-Semitism on campus. What that actually means, I'm not sure. It seems like there's actually like a center for Jewish life and anti-Semitism, whatever, on campus. So I think they're making some hires there. So there's like money set aside to make some hires for that center. And then at the same time, Columbia also suspended or expelled like around 80 students. So not good there, but also Shai Davidi finally left Columbia University.
Woohoo!
So, I mean, there's like a small... And it's not because he was harassing students. It's because he was also harassing like the CFO of Columbia and just bringing psychopaths onto the campus to intimidate people. But there's this article. There's a couple of articles on a Substack by this guy named Jasper something. I can't remember his name. Jasper Nathaniel. And the Substack's called Infinite Jazz, and he's kind of been doing some really good reporting specifically on Shai Davidai, because Shai took to Twitter and posted this letter from Columbia that said, let me see, I have it here. So on July 9th, Shai posted this letter that is supposedly from the Office of Institutional Equity from Columbia University. A screenshot that just says, the Office of Institutional Equity commenced an investigation into allegations made against you on February 8th, 2024. On or about July 8th, 2025, which is when he left. Right? Like he left.
Right.
OIE closed its investigations related to you without issuing any findings or conclusions of wrongdoing and without imposing any discipline or penalty on you. Thank you for your participation in the process. And so Shai posts this and says, yeah, they didn't find that I did anything wrong, obviously. And posting it like he's innocent and that, he was wrongly maligned. Go ahead.
It's almost annoying to have to say this because it just feels so blatantly obvious, but the standards, the amount that this man was able to get away with versus the charges against those 80 students that led to them being suspended is just an insane discrepancy.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
And it's like, that's such a black mark on those students' record. Like, it really is worrisome if they'll be able to transfer, if they'll be able to get jobs, like all these bright young minds. It's really upsetting.
Yeah.
I think I've said this before, but it's worth saying again. Like, when I was young growing up in New York, I always thought that if I ever made it in my career, like if I ever got to be like a famous professor, like, when you daydream about whatever, if you're to accomplish exciting shit, it's like I would work at Columbia. And it just, yeah, I mean, I understand we're all complicit to various degrees. I'm not trying to say that I am not, but you couldn't pay me. There's no amount that you could pay me to work at Columbia University. There literally isn't. And I mean, this is the university that had some of the best minds in our field in Islamic studies. I mean, still does, but now they directly report to the State Department. Like, I mean, it's truly just so embarrassing. I can't even begin to explain how heartbreaking it is.
Yeah. Similarly, a student who had filed a complaint against Shai got this letter from the Office of Institutional Equity. Dear Mariam Iqbal, the Office of Institutional Equity is writing to provide you with an update regarding the allegations you made against Professor Shai Davidai. As of July 8th, Shai is no longer employed at the university. The OIE process has been terminated without any determination. So there's a discrepancy, right? Shai's letter just doesn't mention that it's because he left, and what he posted makes it seem like they just closed the investigation and didn't find anything. And then, so this journalist, Jasper, has the letter and he's like, hey, Shai's letter looks a little weird. One, the Columbia University heading doesn't really follow the same like strict style guideline. And two, institutional in Office of Institutional Equity is spelled as institutional. So it's misspelled. And so it seems like it's still unclear, right? Obviously, the first inclination is to be like, did Shai forge a letter to make it look like it's from Columbia?
Oh, that wouldn't be my first inclination.
What would be yours?
I don't know, but I feel like that's like...
Well, Columbia University certainly cannot...
evidence to attest to that, so...
Columbia cannot... it doesn't manually type in its heading, right?
No,
like they have a header.
Yeah.
So how does that happen?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many... Universities are massive, like, bureaucratic machines.
But a bureaucracy like Columbia has like a template that
Of
anyone
course.
who's sending...
I have a template from my university that I copy and paste onto.
So there's no
headings,
way it would misspell institutional.
But I'm just saying that like
or not follow the style branding.
Someone like individually could have just for some reason taken this upon themselves. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. But people are speculating that he's probably going to end up on Fox News or some
or
bullshit.
working for AIPAC, honestly, or something like that.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm sure he's already supported by AIPAC, but
yeah, we'll probably write some bullshit book.
Yeah, for sure. I have another item that is related to like universities.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Brown, who held the Prince Alawid bin Talal chair that you're trying to get sponsored by,
which now is endowing our podcast, which is great.
I cannot emphasize enough how much I don't want to joke about Saudi backing, just in case they're listening. You know, we don't take Saudi money.
Do we have any listeners in Saudi Arabia?
I don't think so.
I'll look while you do this.
Yeah, let me know. Well, okay.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
So he held the Prince Alawid bin Talal share of Islamic civilization. So this is what he wrote on Twitter. I'm not an expert, but I assume Iran could still get a bomb easily. I hope Iran does some symbolic strike on a base, then everyone stops. So this is after the U.S. had struck Iran. Mm-hmm. This is literally something that everyone was saying because it's like a stupid geopolitical pissing contest. And we understood that there had to be some retaliation, right?
Every military strategist on...
Every news
pundit was talking about
literally. I think we probably said similar things on this podcast.
Yep.
And I won't go into details, but Jonathan Brown is in my field. He's done some work that's really interesting and some work that is controversial, but all within like an academic realm. Mm-hmm. And just like, it's just so funny because this is such a simple, like innocuous thing that he tweeted that is in no way provocative and in no way, I think, like meant to rile any feathers. He was just commenting.
Yeah.
And for that, so there was a congressional hearing and they had Professor Brown removed from his role as chair. And did he also get disbanded from the university temporarily?
Yeah, he's suspended.
Temporarily suspended, yeah. This is like a minor stylistic note, but I think it's so interesting. Like men are often called doctor, I've noticed in like secondary reporting, like Dr. Brown. But I feel like, I don't know, you would rarely say like Dr. Fladina Ali. Like they would say Professor Fladina Ali, just kind of an interesting difference.
I think it depends on the publication. They each have their own style guides.
I think it's gendered.
I don't think so.
I think it is.
I guarantee you it's the style guides.
Oh, I guarantee you it's not. I mean, maybe for like some news outlets, but this is like a care like bulletin.
I mean, maybe I was thinking like Washington Post. New York Times.
That is probably stylized. You're right, but I think in more kind of like colloquial reporting, I think that it's kind of gendered. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, there's like a theory that as women attain credentials like at a rate that's similar to men, that those credentials are like then like
you
lessened.
gotta speak up into the microphone.
That those credentials are then lessened. So like the more women that like have professor who have like doctorates. Yeah. Then like there is like a desire to kind of create a distinction gender wise. Yeah, I don't know. It's alarming. I mean, his wife is Layla Arian, I believe her name is a really wonderful reporter who is Palestinian American and does a lot of reporting. So I just imagine this is kind of a witch hunt for that reason. Yeah. She comes from a very prominent Palestinian American family. But it's really alarming. I mean, if they can use this as a pretext to kind of remove him from his position, then I definitely think like no one's really safe. Anything could be used. I mean, certainly things on this podcast could be used if we were more important or like whatever. Yeah, for sure. Could be taken out of context. So it's an alarming moment.
Yeah, it's bad. Has there been any statement from the Saudi government?
No. That's interesting.
Yeah.
They don't seem that involved in like a daily way with the money they give. I mean, I imagine there are some strings attached, but yeah, at least in this kind of capacity.
A program at Harvard, right?
They do. It has the same name. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of academic statements. Hope that he's reinstated just seems again like a kind of ridiculous.
I feel like if it was Harvard, maybe you'd hear something. I feel like they wouldn't countenance losing the chair that they endowed at Harvard.
I mean, obviously, like beneficiaries have some pull, but it's still like a foreign government. There's not much they can do.
But it's probably so much money.
It is so much money. But I mean, again, like Harvard's already fighting to keep some of its funding from like the US federal government. So
that's true.
Have to kind of balance things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very worrisome.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on that?
No. I mean, I guess free our man.
Yeah. Reinstate our man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hadith scholar. People need to learn about hadith.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to get into, let's see, what's a good way to line this up? All right. There's a Bret Stephens column in the New York Times.
I've got that.
Yeah, that's what I figured we had in common.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, it's exactly.
I honestly don't even want to read it on. I want to talk about it, but like, there's no point in
we got to read
reading
some of it. We got to read some of it.
It's
insane.
just such dribble.
I mean,
can I
it's
give a little context?
It's pure form for Bret Stephens, where he writes, again, probably like a 300-word column.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
So a little context on July 15th, I think it was, Omer Bartov, who's an Israeli-American scholar on genocide, published an op-ed in the New York Times called "I'm a Genocide Scholar. I Know When I See It."
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty to the point and just explaining why what's happening in Palestine is a genocide. And so a lot of people in the comments of this article by Bret Stephens, which came out on July 22nd, which is titled "No, Israel's Not Committing Genocide in Gaza," are basically saying like the Times wanted to even the scales and kind of provide the other perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Never is it more laughable, though, than when it comes to like genocide to provide the quote unquote other perspective. I mean, there are literal Nazis amongst us. Like, that's the world that we live in at this point. And it doesn't even give me comfort, honestly, my certainty that within 10 years, we will think about people like Bret Stephens rightfully as like a Nazi. It doesn't really comfort me because it's not doing anything for Palestinians right now. Like,
if there's any justice in the world, like people like him will have to face some sort of tribunal.
I probably won't. But I mean, even if like even though I do think eventually the arc of popular opinion will catch up to being like, oh, these people not only like minimize suffering, they increased it and, they allowed it. Yeah, I used to think that there was some kind of like justice in that, but there really isn't. Like, it doesn't mean much given what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I guess there was this article by the guy you mentioned, and then the genocide scholar who's like, yeah, there is a genocide. And then
Israeli genocide scholar, by the way. Yeah.
And then Bret Stephens' response is pretty much like, nuh-uh. But yeah, I do want to read part of this because I think it's crazy. So first paragraph, it may seem harsh to say, but there is a glaring dissonance to the charge that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. To wit, if the Israeli government's intentions and actions are truly genocidal, if it is so malevolent that it is committed to the annihilation of Gazans, why hasn't it been more methodical and vastly more deadly? Like, that's what I wanted to read. This is like the first opening salvo of his like article of this guy who's like so thoughtful and erudite as to be allowed column space in the New York Times, like the supposed to be paper record. Not to mention, like, we'll get to how the New York Times headlines have been over the last couple of weeks while people have been starving to death. But his opening thesis is just like, well, if Israel was committing a genocide, why
are there still Palestinians?
Why haven't they been better at it? Yeah, why haven't they been like so good at it yet?
Not to mention, I mean, the numbers that we've heard are horrific, and there's no way that they aren't vastly underreported. There isn't the infrastructure on the ground for people to properly like take into account the sort of mass death that's happening.
Not only
anyone who studied like history of past genocides would fucking know that.
Yeah, not only the mass death from the bombings and the shellings and obviously just shooting people in aid lines, but now, because aid has just been kept out, there's going to be mass death. In fact, in a matter of days or weeks, people are estimating that 100,000 children will just die because of starvation.
Not to mention like the mass disabling, like the number of children who will have health issues the rest of their lives if they do live, inshallah, because of like lack of access to basic nutrition.
Yeah. So we were listening to an interview of someone who's been following the aid situation in Gaza, and the famine is graded on like a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 is like there is irreversible damage.
Right. Even if people were to get aid, they wouldn't be able to, without like really precise medical help, keep the food in.
Not only that, but at level 5, it affects your DNA. It affects your genes. Yeah. So
you'll have generational
your
problems, yeah.
people, yes, your descendants, if you make it through this famine, will have trauma from your own starvation.
Which is like a documented thing that's happened with like the Bengali famine, for example. There apparently you can like trace like generational issues that people have.
Yeah.
And also the Irish famine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like really awful shit. It's, unthinkable that someone would, at this point, I mean, there are people now who have, been writing for Israel this whole time, but are starting to kind of be like, oh, yeah, there should be some aid to get in.
Did you see that Hillary Clinton, for example, just said that aid should get in, which is kind of,
she?
Yeah.
Fuck these people. So there are people who are awful who are distancing themselves, but Bret Stephens is just like ready to, he like formed a suicide pact with Israel. Him, and then I don't know if you saw the representative from Florida, Randy Fine. He tweeted something like, until all the hostages are released, starve away. He's just, he's like a new representative to to U.S. Congress. He's the one who always wears like a kippah. He's like a big fat man. He's an absolute piece of shit. He, apparently I was just reading, he was part of this conservative synagogue that he ended up having to leave because he allegedly threatened to burn it down because they hired like a gay employee or something like that.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Real all-time piece of shit. Hates Muslims. Wants to kill every last Arab.
Sounds like he hates everyone. Jeez.
No, he only
Except
loves like
Israel.
white Jews. Yeah.
He doesn't even love all Jews. There's so many amazing queer Jewish movements. That's crazy.
He's a monster. And he only just got to Congress and is already like probably next in line to be leadership in for the Republican Party. So I mean, if they don't get rid of Mike Johnson as Speaker, this guy for sure will be the Republican Speaker of the House. Yeah, just really awful shit. But anyway, so that's all I wanted to say on the Bret Stephens thing. There's not really much substance here other than he's going to try to make it seem like it's not a genocide, and it's not interesting anymore.
It's not. Yeah. I also like, I just feel like we need to normalize calling people like this Nazis, because I think a lot of Americans, the only like negative historical thing they've ever learned about are the Nazis. And like, they really are. I mean, they're just calling for mass death. They're normalizing the killing of an entire population and the targeting of innocent children. I mean, there's no other word for people like that.
Yeah. These people, I mean, like Bret, should be harassed in public everywhere they go, day in, day out.
I just clicked on his like name, by the way, and like all of his columns are just like so absurd.
They're so stupid.
Oh, this one was also, I don't want to read it, but I read it, but I don't want to read it on the pod. Mamdani for mayor, if you want to help the Republicans. For Israel, it pays to be a winner.
Oh yeah, I think that's important. It's worth mentioning is that Bret Stephens, I think, is ostensibly a liberal. Like
I mean, how? I mean, he's an Islamophobic liberal, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's the thing.
That's a thing. I mean, it is a thing, obviously. You're right. Because you're right. He's got this one. Donald Trump will not be president 4 years hence. The faceplant president. But then he also has Israel had the courage to do what needed to be done about Iran.
I wish nothing but a tortured life on.
Yeah, I don't think people like this. I don't think we can call them liberals. I don't think they should be able to claim that title.
I think liberals is great. Like it just kind of
liberal,
erases
not
any
leftist,
any sort of dissonance or like whatever confusion people had about Democrats and liberals thinking that they were like on the side of justice. I think this is great. This is like finally the mask off moment we've all wanted.
That's fair. I've got 2 other news items from Egypt.
I want to make one point. It's just that there was a video I saw of
give me like a category. Who are you thinking of?
Shit, this is embarrassing that I forgot his name. The brother and sister team from the Save Sheikh Jarrah.
Mohammed Kurd and
Mohammed Kurd. Yeah,
I don't remember her name.
He had a video that maybe I'll slide a clip into here that I'm like, it's hard to disagree with, and the ultimate point is that these people are going out of their way to do everything that they can to say that Israel is Jewishness. And at some point, like, you just don't get to cry wolf. Like, if you're putting, like, you literally carve into the flesh, into the skin of prisoners, the Star of David. Like, IDF soldiers have done that to Palestinian prisoners. They brand them with the Star of David. The Star of David is on every tank. They go in, flatten a neighborhood, they plant a flag that has the Star of David on it. Randy Fine out here in Congress saying all Arabs should starve to, or the Arabs should starve to death, and that they're monsters, and that they, just to flatten Gaza, and he's wearing a kippah, like, and so these people are just like ultimately not only they're just going out of the way to say like this is Judaism, like this is what being Jewish is, but also Columbia is anti-Semitic when they when the students critique Israel. And then, at some point you just like don't get to use the word anti-Semitism anymore. Like you don't get to cry wolf.
What you mean by crying wolf? You mean like if you are a Zionist, you don't get to say that. I guess because they've conflated Judaism with Zionism, they don't get to call it anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it does nothing. I mean, I think we've said this before, right? But it just is going to make all Jews a lot more unsafe.
Yeah. I always will feel strongly, and I think I've said this before, but it's worth saying again, like, they just don't get to do. I'm not even Jewish, obviously, but I still feel so strongly about that. Like, they never will get to define. I'm so glad that there are people fighting the good fight. They'll never get to define what Judaism is. Like, who do they think they are? Like, God? Like, you just don't get to define. I mean, and the creepy thing is they're also like targeting other Jews. Like, it's just so antithetical to like anything anyone could learn from history of Jewish persecution.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the same way that like I will never ever allow like groups like ISIS to speak for Islam. Like I would never allow Zionists to define Judaism.
Like I think it's
in a way that is like as if they own it. Or even like the BJP with Hinduism. And it's hard because like the BJP is like the face of Hinduism in India right now. But like that does not believe that there aren't people who like find higher spiritual truths that are not fucking fascists, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the future will look like, obviously, but I guess what has happened is that they have just like so thoroughly broken Israel's, whatever reputation Israel had in Gaza. Like the world is so against it now. And I think what you were saying earlier, there's just no salvaging it. And I think in the future, I mean, unless they kill every last Palestinian, if there's a situation where there's another attack in Israel, like October 7th, I just feel like the context is going to be like way different. People aren't going to be like, oh my God, it's anti-Semitic, it's whatever. They're just going to be like, oh yeah, this is fallout or downstream of brutal occupation and attempted genocide.
Yeah, completely.
Like people are just not going to see Israel the same at all.
Yeah. I just want to clarify, just because I am so terrified of being quoted out of context. And I know this is not what you're saying, or I'm sure what Mohammed Al-Kurd is saying, but we're not saying that anti-Semitism isn't real, obviously. And we're not saying that people don't have the right to call out anti-Semitism. What we are saying is that if you are a Zionist, you essentially have tied your belief in higher power to a nation state. And so you no longer get to really talk about anti-Semitism as though it is separate from the geopolitical politics that you have like fought for.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what an obvious form of idolatry, right? to worship a nation state. It's embarrassing. And even because I know that, and I really respect this and think there's a lot of beauty in this. I know that there are even quite a few people who are Jewish and who don't necessarily, like, their Judaism is not primarily defined. You know, they identify as Jewish culturally. And even then, there's such an important history, even in this country specifically, of like Jewish leftists, Jewish anarchists, Emma Goldman, of Jewish activism. And you're also, I think, if you are a Zionist, you are embarrassing your ancestors. If you don't believe in like a higher power, you're still embarrassing like your personal history.
Yeah.
And the positive contributions that have been made.
Yeah.
But yeah, really grateful for all the people we are personally in community with who are really fighting to create sacred Jewish spaces that are anti-Zionist, because it's not easy. I mean, I see them doing it from the ground up. It's really difficult to kind of create those institutions without funding, you know?
Yeah. Real quick, since we just did the New York Times thing, I wanted to also just mention that New York Times has just the tweets on starvation and the famine in Gaza. Did I say tweets?
Yeah.
I meant headlines.
I got you.
Jeez.
I understood it as you said it.
Yeah. So the headlines have just been like awful. Talking in passive voice, or just saying that seeming to paint a picture or implying that the famine just has arisen out of thin air, and not the fact that Israel has been blocking all the aid, and there are aid trucks absolutely just surrounding Gaza, ready to get in, ready to distribute aid in the way that it needs to be distributed, accounting for the level of famine that there is. So like once you reach a certain stage of famine, you know, you have to account for how do you distribute it and like what do you need. And so all that work is done and it's ready to go and ready to be mobilized. But Israel and Trump also was in an interview recently. It was just like, oh, well, it looks like Hamas doesn't want peace. So, it looks like they'll just have to finish the job.
Out of Gaza, they pulled out in terms of negotiating. It was too bad. Hamas didn't really want to make a deal. I think they want to die. And it's very, very bad. And it got to be to a point where you're going to have to finish the job. They really, they asked for things. Don't forget, we got a lot of hostages out. So now we're down to the final hostages. And they know what happens after you get the final hostages. And basically because of that, they really didn't want to make a deal. I saw that. So they pulled out, and they're going to have to fight, and they're going to have to clean it up. You're going to have to get rid of it.
Saying finish the job over and over, essentially giving a green light to Netanyahu and emboldening the IDF to just continue killing people and letting them starve.
Yeah.
So, it's just disgusting. Like the New York Times has just been, I mean, obviously it's been reporting some things that are still important, but overall it's impossible to believe that they still aren't trying to write things in a way that won't get them into too much trouble. Like it just feels like they're going through pains to
be the
not
guess.
Say Israel is committing a genocide and starving.
The crazy thing is, I mean, it's even gotten relatively better and it's still really bad. Yeah. I mean, they still feel the need to counter again, an Israeli American historian who is saying this is a genocide with a pro-genocide opinion column. So yeah, it is very.
I could understand if So there was that time a while ago when Tom Cotton had written an op-ed in the New York Times that was essentially saying like, we should deploy tanks into the streets against some Black Lives Matter protesters or something. And people were really mad at the New York Times for running that op-ed, being like, yo, you platformed a fascist or whatever. And I'm like, he's a senator. Of course I want to read when
his fascist ideas, yeah.
But it's different when it's one of your opinion columnists who you pay and you just have on staff and you're just like, hey, what fucking shitty dumbass opinion do you have for us this week? And you just run it because it's Brett Stevens. Like, who gives a fuck what he thinks? And you let him write, oh yeah, no, I think we should just like kill everyone.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like a normalization versus a reporting, I guess.
Yeah, if it was if it was a politician, if it was Randy Fine, I'd be like, yeah, New York Times should run it because like fuck this guy and he's a public figure. I don't give a fuck if Brett like he can go have a blog. He should go have a Substack.
That's fair. I mean I've said this before. I do read the Times. I listen to like the Times headline podcasts most days. I think it's still helpful because it is the paper of record to kind of know what the like mainstream liberal, not left media is saying. But I also understand the point of view of people who've begun to boycott the Times. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's just shameful that they still have anyone like Brett Stevens, but also much about it is shameful. So
definitely.
Okay. That's it on the New York Times. That's all I got. What else do you have?
2 Egypt items. The first is that Al-Azhar, which is the world's kind of foremost Sunni Islamic law institution that's located out of Egypt. It's an institution that's been around for centuries, had a statement condemning Israel's genocidal starvation of Gaza.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing here from a Middle East Eye article. And Sisi made them pull it, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I do think I'm not grateful. That sounds weird. I'm glad that I have the context. I do think it's easy for people to criticize Egyptians because it's like, hey, like Egypt is right there. Like Egypt is bordering Gaza. Like why aren't people just flooding? But just knowing how systemic the torture of political dissidents is in Egypt, I understand why people are afraid for themselves. And, you know, I'm not getting on a plane right now to go to Egypt. So like arguably, who am I to say they should flood? And people have a lot of recent trauma from a popular revolution that was very quickly quelched, right, within their lifetime. So
yeah,
I mean, even like the latest the Greta Thunberg flotilla that got the most kind of press. So there is another one I know that's on the way right now.
They just took everyone. Yeah,
great, not great. That's awful. I was going to say, there were some Egyptians that rushed the border at that time. And as we covered with our good friend and guest, Hossam, some of those people, like, you know, were imprisoned afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that even people at Al-Azhar are nervous about their political ramifications at their actions. But having given that long kind of preface, there are everyday people in Egypt that have been really brave. Well, and this is an internationally renowned institution. It is kind of, I think, a little bit depressing that they cowed to that pressure.
My question is, why did it take Azhar so long to issue a statement?
I mean, perhaps they have in the past. I mean, I'm sure they have other statements condemning Israel, but this was specifically about the starvation.
So what was different about this statement?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess they called it a fully fledged genocide.
Oh, I think actually I remember reading that they were saying that, this statement could potentially, this is absolute bullshit reason. They were saying it could mess up negotiations or whatever.
But that's like definitely a bullshit reason. It definitely was like,
who would say, we can't come to an agreement because Azhar issued this
right,
thing.
because this Islamic institution that is not a governing body that just issues fatwas that are non-binding legal opinions.
So stupid, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it seems like just a show of force from Sisi to be like, get the fucking line.
Okay. At the same time that this happened, the Israeli Knesset just passed a symbolic resolution to annex the West Bank.
Yeah.
To annex all of the West Bank where millions of Palestinians live. And no one's like, this will mess up negotiations.
Right.
But a statement from Azhar will?
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, but I honestly, I mean, not like I'm personally invested in Azhar as like for my own religious guidance, but I am a little disappointed. I feel like they should show some moral backbone. It's embarrassing that they're not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
They're probably
really,
afraid of being imprisoned if I'm being generous, but still.
Probably, but
Yeah.
I guess it being kind of the foremost Islamic institution in the world, like, could they really imprison its leaders?
I mean, you're right. It's you would think that maybe it would be a risk that they should take,
Yeah.
but apparently not. I don't know a ton about Azhar's relationship with the government, but I think that there is more of one than I initially realized. Like, I think that they get government funding and, like, you know, so they probably, maybe it's like a Colombia situation where they're also afraid to lose their funding. Who knows?
I feel like it's got to be like a WEF sort of.
I think it is like an endowment, but I think that there also is ongoing funding from the government.
Yeah.
But I don't know a ton of the details, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to become like a Vatican City
It should. That'd be cool.
for Islam. That and Mecca.
Actually, I'm going to revise that. Mecca actually should be, that I agree with strongly. It should be out, not under Saudi jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever go as long as the current government is in Saudi. Do you? I
No.
don't really feel a need. Yeah.
No, and some people, I think maybe we've talked about this before, but some people are like, oh, well, you're just, you're not a good Muslim. It's like, yeah, probably in a lot of ways I'm not, but.
Not for that reason.
Yeah, I don't think that's the reason.
No, I agree.
Like, I actually do think that is like a substantive reason to be like, I'm not placing like dunya over a spiritual obligation. Like, it is, if anything, it's the other way around. It's just like this spiritual obligation is being corrupted for everyone because you're just like
complicit with a slave state. Yeah.
in an awful way. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think there's something really perverse about, and this is not to like look down on anyone who's made the choice to go. Obviously, I understand that people feel obligated, and I'm sure there's a lot of beauty while you're there and seeing Muslims from around the world. But I think for us, it would just be so weird to be going to this thing that's supposed to be like so spiritual and everything is compromised, but it's like, we don't have to go. We don't have to give money to Saudi,
Yeah.
I mean, look, someone could say like, we gave tourist money to Egypt. Like, I get it. It's a slippery slope a little bit. Like, CC sucks. It's not like we're boycotting all countries, but
in that sense, maybe there's a little arbitrariness to it, but
we don't have connections to Saudi, therefore, like, yeah.
But I feel like, maybe if it was part of a larger movement to separate the two and be like, oh, if more people did this, then maybe it would mean something. But if it's just the two of us, then yeah, it is kind of arbitrary and meaningless. But maybe we'll start a movement.
I just don't feel moved to go. Yeah, but I think I love that.
I would love to go. I just I don't. I feel I don't want to.
I think we should go to Karbala.
The same way that I wouldn't go to Israel.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't.
But like, people are not their governments. You know what I mean? Like, I would go to Iran and I hate the Iranian government. So it's not fully consistent. And like, I want to go to Karbala. I was going to say, I think that like Mecca should be the Vatican. That would make a lot of sense. I actually don't think that Azhar should be, because that might give the impression that it's like it's kind of cool that we don't have like a centralized form, at least for Sunni Muslims, of like authority. You know what I mean? But it is like their opinions are important, and we exist in a nation state system. So therefore they are embedded in one.
Yeah.
But whereas like Mecca really should be separate, if it's this thing that everyone's supposed to do, if they can within their lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really shouldn't be something that is under the control of a nation state.
No, there should just be like an Islamic jurisprudential governing board.
Yeah. From like people all around the world, like Muslims all around the world. That'd be awesome. Or it also gives like Saudi like legitimacy that it doesn't deserve.
Make it Sweden the steward.
No, why Sweden?
Just a random neutral country. Actually,
Switzerland.
No, kind of. Yeah, hold on. Who would?
No, Indonesia.
Like New Zealand.
Indonesians are chill. Indonesia should get it. They seem really nice. I mean, they had a dictator before, but still.
Someone's gonna be like, actually, that's fucked up to say or something. I don't know. We'll see. By the way, we do have 4 listeners in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
I looked it up. Yeah. So
I wonder who. I have family in Saudi, by the way.
Someone in the House of Saud. Huh?
Yeah, directly there. You think we got that direct line?
Yeah, I think so.
I have family that like lives in Saudi on compounds and stuff. Not a ton right now. I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 people.
Are there 4?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think there's 2 maybe right now.
Okay. So it's probably the 2 of them and then 2 other people.
Nah, I doubt they listen to this. Last Egyptian news item, super depressing, but sort of sweet, I guess, mostly depressing. Like children putting lentils into bottles, like water bottles, and throwing it in the water or the ocean, hoping that it'll get to Gaza. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah, people have been just like throwing food into the ocean, hoping that it will get there, which is just like, it's sort of
That's
sweet,
bleak.
like that people are trying. But yeah, I don't feel bad about this, but it is weird. I think there's just something that feels so, like, obviously all form of like death is awful, but there's something about like the forced famine specifically that just feels like makes you like question humanity in a way that is like really fundamentally unsettling. But I mean, that's arbitrary. Like, it's not like it's okay to shoot people either, but I don't know why it feels like very unsettling.
No, because there's like a torture element.
That's
to
what it is. I think it's the torture, it's the
um,
deliberateness of it and the slowness of it. Yeah.
So another thing that happens with famine, when you starve, one, I mean, yeah, your body starts to kind of eat itself and deteriorate. You start to hallucinate, and then you start to become like an animal. Like, you act erratically, and you just, I mean, it sounds awful to say because you're saying it about human beings, but you devolve. Like, you just, so not only is it just like a form of physical torture, but it is like a mental torture and like just such a reduction of your own humanity in a, like a real visceral way that I think it's the worst form of slow death that anyone could experience. And anyone, Israel, like, who makes people, who subjects people to that fate on such a mass scale, like, there's just no redemption.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But I thought that was
yeah,
depressing.
it is depressing. Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's
And
unspeakable.
also just, it really speaks to like the people versus their governments, that like people want to help and they just feel so helpless. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone now is just confronted by their own weakness and spinelessness, like myself included, right? Like, I just, every day, the only thought is we could all be doing more and we're not, and we should all be risking more, but we're not. And what is wrong with us? And yeah, I'm not going to like navel gaze or pontificate too much on the podcast, but it is like, it is just kind of like the foremost thought in my mind, and I'm sure a lot of other people's minds. And that's kind of part of why it's so awful. It's because everyone's humanity is kind of dying a little bit, or a lot, not a little bit. So yeah, it's bad. I did actually want to mention this too. I don't know if you saw this, speaking of media stuff, but Netanyahu was on this podcast called, what was it called? I forget. I don't know what it's called, but it's by these guys called the Nauk Boys.
Never heard of them.
Is it just Send It podcast or something? It's like a frat kind of podcast of these two absolute just like dullards.
Yeah, Nelk Boys, you're right. They're Canadian American.
Dumbest motherfuckers, like just such low IQ morons. But they were super popular. They have millions of followers. I'm not sure why.
I've never heard of these people. It's so random.
I'd never really heard of them either until like fairly recently. But I think Trump has done the podcast, so they got popular in the Trump circle and have connections there. I think this was one of the podcasts that Trump did to get a lot of outreach during the election. And Netanyahu was just recently on it. And now they've kind of, after, they're just like, oh, we didn't really know what we were doing, or people are telling them, I guess, in their chats. So they did like a live stream episode after And people are, I'll play this clip because it's kind of crazy. Actually, I think I have it up on my phone. If I do, I'll play it here real quick. But they're just like coming to realization with the fact that they just had like the devil on their podcast.
Oh, that's interesting. They're like recognizing it
in as dumb of a way as one
can.
Possibly could. Yeah.
Someone said having Netanyahu on is like having modern day Hitler.
No, I saw that.
Which is, honestly, guys, I'll be honest. I'm here to. That's a good point. We're here to fucking learn, to be honest, guys.
They're so stupid. I think they just don't want to deal with the backlash. But he's just like, oh, yeah, I guess it is like having Hitler on the podcast. Well, I guess that's a good point.
Having a posture of not knowing everything and learning is
Not an
only
excuse.
is only okay if you actually try to learn. If you have any kind of platform, you have a responsibility. That's crazy.
No, these guys, I mean, they're just like, oh, yeah, okay, well, we'll make mistakes, but
And
obviously
pocket millions of dollars. Yeah.
They're just like so stupid. But I mean, I've only seen a couple of clips of the Netanyahu interview, but he's just like, oh, we're not starving them. Like, there's so much aid that gets into Gaza, and like Hamas steals it all.
Right.
So that's like the line, actually. So this is funny because they've been going around saying, oh, well, you know, we let so much aid into Gaza. We set up this humanitarian foundation where we line people up and execute them while they wait for food. But Hamas just steals all the aid and then resells it or uses it to recruit or whatever. And there was just an investigation that came out. I don't remember where, but
The Times debunked it.
Oh, it was Times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So saying there's absolutely no evidence.
One small point for the Times.
Yeah. Absolutely no evidence that Hamas is stealing any of the aid. So yeah, they just kind of had him on and he was just like, look at these two useful morons.
I thought that people were kind of overblowing the whole like Joe Rogan factor, but maybe male podcasting has gone too far. That's crazy.
It's I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. I definitely think that claims of ignorance are not okay with extreme, obviously immoral situations like this. Like you can be ignorant about like a small historical fact, like that's okay. You can't be okay. You can't like be ignorant about a genocide.
When you are at the level of interviewing a head of state,
Yeah, you gotta figure some shit
maybe
out.
you should do a little Googling beforehand.
Yeah.
Because you do have a little bit of responsibility to ask a good question.
Yeah.
That said, I know Tucker interviewed Iran's president. I
Yeah,
actually have not watched that yet. I gotta watch that.
We should.
We should actually.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have much hope because his interview with Putin was
It was kind of funny.
it was bad.
I
It
watched
was really
part of it. He
embarrassing,
didn't
yeah.
really ask many hard-hitting questions.
no. Putin just kind of like ran the show.
Yeah.
Had it. I think I talked about it on here. He had the interview he wanted to have for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
I don't.
You really?
Yeah.
It's just me for the rest of the time?
You got more stuff?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, well, it's already been like an hour.
I know. Okay. We're doing mega episode because we missed 2 episodes. Strap in, baby.
Wait, how much longer?
So much longer.
No, Ahmed, I think we want to make it short and
Just
snappy.
go along for the ride. Okay. Next up, the Mahmoud case. We missed that too. The Mahmoud v. Taylor. So this is the case about LGBTQ ideology in schools. The Supreme Court finally ruled on it.
No, this happened a while ago.
No, the Supreme Court took it up. They finally ruled on it in the last week or so.
Oh, really? I thought that already happened and it went the wrong way.
They did go the wrong way.
Okay, but it didn't happen already. Okay.
Yeah, well, now it happened.
Okay.
Yes. So, but we have not talked about it
Got
yet.
it.
So the court, pretty much ruled that parents have the right to not expose their children to that sort of thing.
And wait, just as a recap, if you haven't been following this news story, this means at the level of like a picture book is read and there happens to be 2 mommies, like your child could be escorted out, which is insane.
Yeah, so the way that this will actually likely be like imposed is that, because you got to think about, like, if a parent wants to pull their child out, it's going to create a bunch of paperwork to be like, okay, we want to read this book then, and so like here's a permission slip, and it's really used to discourage.
Exactly, it's like a cudgel. It'll make it that
yeah,
it's not convenient for you to include
that in
diversity in your curriculum. Yeah.
Yeah, to make sure that teachers just don't want to deal with that burden because they're already burdened with so much. The funny thing is that in the past, when there have been like free speech cases in schools where, kids have written shirts that like say something edgy, and then that, like the bong hits for Jesus thing, that was a Supreme Court case.
I don't know that
one.
That
arose from something, and then there was also like a free speech case about a school newspaper. I don't remember exactly the contents of it, but essentially the Supreme Court ruled that like the student newspaper couldn't write whatever it wanted or report and however it wanted on certain issues because the school had an interest in making sure that, they had some control over the speech of the paper or whatever. And the argument of the Supreme Court is like, oh, it's not an issue because if you care about this, you can always like put your child in private school, which is obviously like a burden. But in this case, they're just like, oh, private school, if you don't want your kid exposed to LGBTQ ideology, people are saying you could just send them to a Christian school or like to a private school, but that's such a burden on those parents. And you're just like,
what if you can't afford it?
It's such bullshit. Yeah. But yeah, obviously it's really unfortunate. I think it's also, from what I understand, based on discussion that I've listened to about this ruling, is that the rule that they created is not specific. It's just
what do you mean by that?
It's just so broad because it's essentially saying like if you have a sincerely held religious belief, you don't have to be exposed to anything that significantly, I guess, burdens that belief, which is broad as fuck. Like,
yeah. That's the thing, like, with getting government overly involved in issues like this, is like, it is just like too broad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like hard to define that.
Yeah. I wonder how they'll deal with it if someone else sues on the basis of saying, well, okay, well, my sincerely held belief is that Zionism is wrong, and that's a religious belief of mine, and I don't want to be exposed to any Zionist or like Israeli propaganda in the school.
Yeah, or if you were like, maybe if somehow there was like representation. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky.
Yeah. Or if some of these crazy schools try to teach creation.
There already are a lot of schools in this country that teach creationism, unfortunately.
Yeah, but someone could sue based on this new,
like you mean in the other direction to say that they're offended. But that's the thing that's annoying, is that it would be hard to argue that that was religious. I mean, I guess you could say.
I mean, how do you argue that having a book that just has two dads in it,
right,
or like a married dad couple
is like obstructing your personal right to how you practice,
adds significant burden to your sincerely held political belief, spiritual belief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a
just
bummer.
Seems like tricky territory to be in. Yeah. What else do I have in my little
2 more items,
bag
my man.
of tricks?
You get 2 more. Choose wisely.
Let's see. What do you make of this Epstein stuff?
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't matter that much. Like, Trump is already president. I mean, look, it matters to all the many victims, unfortunately, of these high-profile men. I kind of get what liberals are doing because it's sort of like a convergence, and it seems like a chance to like get back some of the QAnon folks by like trying to feed. And to be fair, all of these like Epstein conspiracists, like something is off. Like they're not wrong. Like that he, you know, I don't know whether or not he committed suicide, but wouldn't be shocked if there's evidence that it wasn't suicide. You know, that's not beyond like, I don't think that's crazy to imagine or speculate. I mean, we already knew that Trump was friends with Epstein. Like that's also not new. None of this is really new, I guess.
Yeah.
If it's making Trump uncomfortable, I'm all for it. Why not? But I just like, I don't want to be a pessimist, but I can't imagine that any justice will really come from this. But if it helps to move some of his base, whatever.
I just think it's I don't know. Yeah, the question is interesting because will they stay on it? Are they actually committed in their heart of hearts? Do they believe that there's some cabal of elites and billionaires who preyed on children?
There was.
And do they believe that that is so wrong that it's worth fighting for?
Their own guy getting gunned down for it, or getting even like a slightly tarnished reputation?
Because like, I mean, to go back to Randy Fine, one of the controversial things he says, he's like, yeah, I think, he threatened to burn down that synagogue or allegedly threatened to burn down that synagogue because they hired a gay employee, and he's said that, you know, LGBTQ people just groom children, and then,
fuck you.
You know, Alito in this, he's the one who wrote the court opinion for this ruling. It's like they're trying to make it seem like children are just being groomed and that they're susceptible to LGBTQ ideology.
Right. Meanwhile, like Trump at the like Miss America pageant was like opening the door on like underage girls that were changing. Like,
well, not only that, but like, yeah, here we have, he's like, okay, we're not releasing the Epstein files. One of the most prominent groomers of young children and sex traffickers. And for whatever reason, we don't want to release the files. And also now we're going to talk about potentially pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. Like they're.
I wonder if she's going to die. Do you think she's going to die?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. Or she'll get pardoned.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what people are saying. Because
one or the other.
They gave her a limited pardon, which apparently is pretty standard for when you talk to.
Like when you cooperate.
Attorney General. So she apparently was questioned or deposed by the deputy AG, who is also Trump's personal defense attorney.
Lol.
So that's a little suspicious. But also in that conversation, she was granted immunity.
Or like partial immunity, right?
Partial immunity so that anything she said could not actually be held against her in that deposition.
My mom pointed this out and I totally agree with her. I feel like this is like obviously not the most important part of the story because this woman is an absolute like, I mean, she committed
a monster,
a monster. But it is kind of crazy that like the only person who's been incarcerated for this crime is a woman. Like,
well, no, I mean,
it's just kind of nuts. I mean, yeah, but then he
killed himself. But he was incarcerated.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like, there's so many men that are obviously implicated in this. Like,
yeah, of course.
I mean, women can also commit sex crimes, obviously. Case in point with this lady, but
that to me is just like, it's like, oh yeah, women aren't like any more virtuous by fact of being women.
No, but they're more likely to. I don't know.
I mean, yes, it's the same way that the ICC has heretofore like only issued warrants against like African warlords and dictators instead of, you know, to Israel and the U.S.
or like the U.S.
European dictators.
I'm not confident that. I hope that some of Trump supporters will be swayed by this, but I just feel like nothing seems to really stick to him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there was somehow a rebrand and it was like, I mean, he's already trying that. One, he's looking for distractions. He's talking about Obama and Russia. That's like reaching so far back. But then two, he's kind of trying to imply that maybe like it was written, which is obviously or like it was written specifically as a setup by liberals. He's sort of like pointed in that direction, which is so obviously contradicting what he said when he's on the campaign trail when he was like, we have to get to the bottom of this and release the files, implying that the files were legit. Mm-hmm. But when you're creating like a mythos, I guess it's kind of like when people create like grand narratives of history, right? The actual facts matter less than like the vibes.
Yeah.
So it does seem to be pretty flexible as a belief system, unfortunately.
I wish there was a way to kind of galvanize and just rally the QAnon crowd to say, it's like, because honestly, I agree. I'm just like, yes, lock up Obama, but also lock up Trump, lock up Clinton, lock up Netanyahu. If you could just get them to all agree and be like, hey, I'm with you. Let's just like form a new coalition and just get them all in jail.
I mean, we've long said this. I think that there is a lot of room for like the far left and far right to coalesce in ways that can potentially be helpful, especially in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
we'll put Biden
institutions
in,
are kind of falling.
Put Biden in one of those carnival dunk tanks.
Biden just is old. Yeah.
Also a monster. Fuck him.
No, that's true.
Again, all these people just deserve nothing but a tortured existence for the rest of their lives.
In defense of the QAnon folks, I mean, they're crazy and they like really weirdly stitch together shit in ways that are bizarre and very cultish. But like, they're not wrong that there are people in power that operate with impunity, right? And that are morally bankrupt. Like that like core truth is true. And so, you know, it can feel frustrating when you don't have the power to bring people to justice. And I sort of see the impulse. I understand.
Also, when your government lies to you and there's no transparency to it.
Yeah.
Then what are you? Yeah. Like
apparently, there are actually studies on this. Like, conspiracy theories are more common in societies that like don't have a sense of cohesion, and that where like the social contract has been kind of disrupted.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I don't think that those folks are all beyond redemption or anything, but their theories are really intense. And I think the reason why they're frustrating is that sometimes they kind of like find red herrings to fixate on. It's like there are actual evil people.
Like a
you don't
pizza
have to,
restaurant.
right? Like you don't have to make up shit. Like there's evil right in front of you. You know what
That's
I mean?
the thing is they kind of ignore that. It's like these. So we have some very dedicated anti-abortion people who we live near Planned Parenthood.
We live on the same street.
They're just like always out there. And I'm like,
they're there.
If you actually cared about children.
Saturday and Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5.
If you think that children dying is the worst thing and you think that this is child murder, what are you doing here and not outside of John Fetterman's office?
I hear you that with the direct connection to children, but the thing that upsets me more, honestly, is that they're always literally next to these like protesters. There are people who are homeless, and it's like if you wanted to like give
that's
actual
someone's baby
aid,
too.
Yeah, exactly, to people, like they're right next to you. It's just like the kind of resources and time they seem to have to just sit there for hours on end. It's just sort of crazy that they don't actually do anything to help people that are immediately on the same block as them.
No, they actually, they're not.
They're
ideologically committed to something. Yeah, I think that, like you said earlier, they're ideologically committed to. Actually, it's hard to say that. They're committed to something that is just not fixed. It just has some signifier, and the substance changes, or maybe there is no substance.
Are you talking about the anti-abortion people? Because their thing is fixed.
No, I think them and all this QAnon stuff. It's like, we're like against pedophilia as like a.
I mean, the anti-abortion people are against abortion. They have a clear fixed goal. I think it's a little bit different. They suck, but.
Well, no, they're just like, they're ostensibly, there's like, yes, abortion is the thing, right? But they're saying we're against child murder.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So they're not like consistent in that way. Right.
But they're not against child. They're against this like one form of like, it's not even like substantively what they're actually against is not.
And they don't really value life the way they claim to.
No.
They don't care for life.
The same way that like a lot of these QAnon people are just like, yeah, we need to stop pedophiles. Like pedophilia is the worst thing ever. And then they're like, well, you just voted for not just like a pedophile as a head of state, but like also several other people who like Matt Gaetz and like all these other people who have been just caught grooming minors. Yeah. And you're just like, well, that's a hot 17-year-old.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Make it make sense. You can't.
You can't. I do wonder. I mean, there's got to be Democrats in those files too.
For sure. Lock them all up.
The other thing that's upsetting that like I'm not the first person to point this out is like whether or not there is a singular list there was a victim of Epstein's that committed suicide, like I think a few months ago, after her trial case wasn't brought to justice. And like there are victims, like we know that people's lives have been ruined by this. Like you don't need a list to know that, you know, there's been countless testimony from countless women. So it's also kind of upsetting a little bit, I think, especially when we're dealing with like sexual abuse against women. For some reason, the kind of like need for concrete evidence, the bar is just like so high.
Yeah.
Yeah. There doesn't have to be a list to know that there was a lot of wrong that was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Wow, really rosy picture, Ahmed. Thanks for...
Yeah, I had some stuff on Mamdani, like hiring people out of the DNC on his campaign, but
yeah.
I will say it's he has started to I don't know if you saw this. So he has been like, oh, you know, well, I wouldn't use globalize the intifada or whatever. So he's like, it does kind of seem to be showing signs of walking back some things, maybe heading into a general election, and also seeking more moderate voices for advice. So like, I mean, again, this person who used to work on not Cuomo's campaign, but worked for Cuomo when Cuomo was the attorney general, I think. But he also hired someone else who, I don't remember her name, but had a more radical like labor union background. So there's that. He walked back the globalize the intifada thing a little bit more.
I still feel like he's doing a decent job. Also, we'll see when he actually gets into power. Like that's the real test.
But did you hear Eric Adams trying to pronounce intifada?
No, I didn't.
I'll slide a clip
Please
into
put the clip in.
because he was like
I can only imagine.
Infidada in
God.
yeah,
it sounds kind of like infidel the way you're saying it. That's
yeah,
so funny.
it's just.
I think that Mamdani is an anti-Semite.
Yes, I do. I think that when you're in the streets, after what we saw took place on October 7th, when you're in the street either the next day or days later and don't immediately denounce it, when you're unwilling to talk about global intifada.
God, he's just so dumb.
Mamdani for life until otherwise.
But
no
please
one is
keep
above
Eric
reproach.
Adams around in some sort of like public role. He just needs to be like New York City's mascot.
I'm a Mamdani fangirl. Until he lets me down, I'm gonna ride hard for
like
that guy.
Just, if Mamdani wins, there needs to be an office of like vice mayor created, and it just needs to be Eric Adams.
Just vibing, with no power. That would be better for him.
Yeah, he gets to, the Anatolian ambassador of New York City. He just gets to be like the Ottoman.
He can be like the outreach to like the Turkish population of New York.
Yeah.
Oh, one other political note. I have really been trying my best to. There's a lot about AOC that I respect, but I finally, that was kind of the last strong for me. I'm really
actually yes. Thank you for bringing that up because I meant to. Yeah.
So she also has just been so kind of weird and tricky in the way that she's talked about this.
So slimy.
Yeah. She voted for funding for the Iron Dome, which is Israel's defense system.
And then people got mad.
Yeah. And the way that she keeps on trying to defend it is that she's like, well, I didn't vote to arm Israel. But
she's like, I didn't vote to any offensive weapons.
Yeah, but the reason why Israel is able to unleash terror, by the way, we keep on talking about Palestine because that's the most dire situation,
it's connected to everything
because of Israeli aggression. But Israel also keeps on fucking striking Syria and Lebanon. Like, don't forget that they're also causing chaos, like not just in Palestine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the reason why they're able to kind of like attack their neighbors without reproach
with impunity
is because of this like system, right? That we pay for.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the logic was not logicking, and I found it. Let me finish.
Yeah.
I know you hate AOC, but let me finish my thought. I just found it like offensive the way that she kind of talked down to her detractors.
Yeah.
Like she really was, I feel like, trying to like one up them, and she can be really good at public education, which is all the more reason why it was upsetting to see her kind of utilize it in this way for misinformation.
Yeah, it's gross. And you know that she knows exactly what she was doing when she came up with that fucking limp ass defense. That she's like, I didn't vote to arm Israel. Like, look at the receipts. Here are the receipts.
Right.
And then people posting her vote on the Iron Dome funding.
Yeah.
Being like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Just because you didn't vote to send more bunker buster bombs doesn't mean that Israel, like, yeah, these like expensive ass missiles for the Iron Dome system still allow Israel to just attack its neighbors nonstop.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Summer Lee voted against it. Our representative here in Pittsburgh. So did Rashida. So did Ilhan.
Do you see that?
So did Marjorie Green Taylor.
Marjorie. Yeah.
Marjorie.
Yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene actually
Introduced
wrote and introduced a bill to not.
I think it was an amendment, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I think actually apparently Ilhan just released like a statement, or I don't know if it was a tweet or something that was like, people think is kind of like a very thinly veiled criticism of AOC. I'm glad to see that she's being reproached by her colleagues.
She's clearly just
she's looking to run for president.
She's stepping into the Nancy Pelosi role, and maybe she has higher ambitions. Maybe it's Senate seat, maybe
president. But I'm bummed, honestly. I don't
think she doesn't have the juice for president.
If before this, if she had run for president, I would have definitely knocked doors for her. So I was saddened.
Yeah, no. Palestine is a litmus test now. Like, if you aren't wholly committed to Palestinian liberation,
yeah, and I don't need you to say like, I think we're in very, very slightly different places with this, not massively different places. Like, I understand the kind of walking the line of like, hey, here's what globalized intifada means, not saying it's a great statement, even though like, whatever, do I agree with that? I won't say. But I think, yeah, at the point in which you are literally helping Israel be more adept at warfare, like, yeah, you've crossed a line. There's nothing you can really, there's no way I could explain that or rationalize that.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's material support in a way that, yeah, it's too bad. I don't know. We'll see who else runs.
The C stands for Clinton, I see.
Huh?
Alexandria Ocasio-Clinton.
Well, now you sound like a QAnon person.
Yeah. They made her in a lab from Hillary Clinton's DNA. They actually implanted her brain into AOC's body.
What, just because they're both female politicians?
Yes.
Okay. No.
Yes.
I wish Rashida, I mean, they would never get elected, obviously, but I wish Rashida or Ilhan could run for president.
Mm-hmm.
All the good ones are foreign born.
Yeah.
Actually, was Rashida born here?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway.
All right. Well,
hope you enjoyed our mega episode. We missed y'all.
Yeah. How much time was that? That was, 1 hour, 40 minutes. That's pretty good. I think that makes up for missing 2 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know if it works like that, but also, I like your logic.
We had 1 week of just like really being on the road. So. Yeah.
And then we had like a couple of days that we both were kind of just like down.
Well, yeah, I was adjusting to a new medication, and
I don't know what my excuse was.
I was in pain, and my body wasn't working. But
I was having bad feelings.
But you were, maybe it was cloudy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.